right, in this video, we are going to show how to do exercise 14. Exercise 14. So this is going to be the first one where we don't draw from the front view. Instead, we're going to build this one from the bottom up. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and click on the word top on the view cube. We're going to click top on the view cube and create our first sketch on the YX plane this time. All right, now that we're in the sketch mode, we can do what we always do, which is create a very simple profile of the base of this shape. Of course, starting on origin, that's not changing. Remember that we are, when we're doing these ones that say 3D CAD exercise with the little, this little ribbon on it, we are in millimeters. We are no longer in inches, so I'm also not going to change the document settings. Now that I've got this sort of basic shape, I am going to start to dimension it, clicking the sketch dimension tool and doing all the dimensions that I see. So the entire width of the piece is 125. I don't know how I managed to write that in or do that with just, yeah, okay. Well, there you go, 125 for that. Click the back piece. Is this 53? No, couldn't get lucky twice. That is 53 here. And now we really just have to say how big this is. So if we look, what's really important here, and this is done on purpose, it's not telling us how big that line is or how big this line is, right? It's not, there's no dimension for that. Instead, there's a dimension for this cutout and not, and again, not an aligned dimension for how long it is in that direction, but instead what they did was, if this piece was a rectangle, how long would it be from the end of that rectangle to where we started to cut off this piece that we were cutting off, right? And it's doing that in both of those directions. And the answers are on the shorter side is 25 and on the longer side is 44. So how do we do that with this? Well, it's simple. We're going to click on this line for both of those, but the way we drag it, the direction that we drag it's going to matter. So if I click on this, instead of pulling this down this way, if I pull to the right, I can do the shorter side, which is 25. And if I pull down, I can do the longer side, which is 44. Pretty simple. And because of that, we are, if I open up my sketch folder, I'll see that we've got a red padlock for sketch 1, and we are indeed done. So I can click finish sketch, click on the home button on the view cube so I can see this, and I can extrude this up. So if I click on this and click the extrude tool, I can see that I'm going up 10 units, 10, enter. Now I can do this sort of back part here. So if I turn this around and click on this back, notice where I'm clicking here. The long flat profile on the back is where I'm going to start this sketch. So once I've clicked on that, I'm going to click create sketch. And I'm going to draw this, this sort of back part, right? So the back part goes up, right, and then at an angle, sort of like that. These two dots here are collinear. They are both on the same line. All right. And we can snap those coincident, this back one to the back vertex and this one to the line. So notice that this one can't move anywhere because it's coincident with another vertex, right? But this one is just coincident with the line. So it can still move, but we've limited it, you know, in where exactly it can move. It can only slide along that line. All right. Now, this black dot is 10 millimeters from the edge of the piece, so I can do that as well. using my dimension tool. The height from the top to the bottom is 64. That's important. This line is not 64. This line is 64 minus 10. But I'm not going to do any of that math. I'm just going to click there, click on the bottom of the piece, and make that 64 just like that. The length of the top before it curves down is 68. So I can do that fairly simply, just like that. And with that, we're done. Pretty simple. Once you know a few of those tricks, right? Once you understand that, and the common mistake here, by the way, everybody gets everything else right. It's really just some people make this line 64, forgetting that it's not 64 to there. It's 64 all the way to the bottom. So make sure you're reading these carefully because it's very simple to make a mistake like that. But anyway, once we're done, we click Finish Sketch. We click the home button on the view cube, and we're going to extrude this piece now. Notice that the arrow is pointing in this direction. So if we want it to be going in the correct direction, we want to go -10. Just like that. Now what we have to do is this little triangle here. Now, the triangle for this part does not start in anywhere where we can click, where we can create a sketch, right? We can't really click in between here like this. So how are we going to get that? What we can do is create what's called an offset plane. So if I click this offset plane tool right here on the ribbon, and I click on this part of the piece, I can pull this plane wherever I want it. And where do I want it? Well, I want it 45 millimeters from the edge of the back of this piece. So I could just type in this box -45, and I will get the plane right there, right where I need it. It is, I think, although I can't tell for sure, I think it's completely in line with this little point here, but I'm not sure. 40, it's not, because this point is 44. Let's see, we can't assume that's where that is because it's actually not right there. Okay, so I'm going to select on that plane that I just made and click Create Sketch. And then what I'm going to do is look at the sketch palette here. This has never been on yet. It's not on by default. It's called Slice. And what that does is if our plane that we're sketching on, notice the grid. If the plane that we're sketching on is cutting through some three-dimensional geometry, which it is, if I turn the Slice button on, we can actually see where we're sketching through the piece and hide the rest of the piece, you see, which is very, very useful because this is kind of how I want to look at this piece because this is where I'm starting to do this drawing. The other thing I can do is if I go down to Create and click on Project Project Include and click on Intersect and click on the body button, not the specified entities, but body, and click on this body, which is the one that we're making, right? Leave everything else the same. The only thing I did here was I clicked on this body button and then clicked on the shape. So let me just do that again so that's clear. Create, Project Include, find Intersect, switch this button here, Specified Entities, over to Bodies, and select the piece and press OK. And what that does is it gives me all of the points on this piece that are touching where my plane that I'm drawing on is intersecting with the rest of this piece. That's such a useful tool because now I can use all of the geometry of where I've sliced into this to make my drawing. So if I create a simple line here to here, I can now snap just like we've been doing the whole rest of this course. This dot coincident with, I don't know why that double clicked on me there. I'm gonna delete that. Okay. This dot coincident with this here. this dot coincident with the bottom of the piece. Now, my sketch here for sketch 3 is not finished yet because it doesn't know exactly how long, or not how long, but where this needs to be on this. Of course, we do have a measurement for that. That's going to be 38. So if I click sketch dimension, I click here on the back, this sort of wall right there, and that dot, pull that down, I can make that 38. Enter. Red padlock, finish sketch, home on the view cube, click on that there, and we're going to extrude this. We started this plane on 45, so we need to go in that direction, which is negative. That is going to be negative 10. Enter. That 10 I got, of course, from this part of the sketch right there. That is how you complete this piece. So I hope that was useful for you, as always. I hope that was useful. That you'll be able to submit this in Canvas like you normally do. Screenshot of your full screen. Make sure you're logged in. And I will see you in the next video.